He was doing really well for first 6 weeks. All of a sudden, he started getting sick.
Welcome to the Grit Unfiltered podcast. I'm David Craig, cancer survivor, caregiver, and a patient experience researcher. Finding our voice after a diagnosis is how we heal ourselves, support our peers, and improve healthcare systems. On this unfiltered series, we'll explore the real stories that shape our guests' lives and how we're embracing those in the work we do in healthcare. So hold on, because grit is real, grit is raw, and we don't hold back. I'm honored to introduce to you Uma Rana. Hi, Uma.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much for inviting me to be a guest on your podcast.
Honored to. It's sunny here in New Jersey, so I think we're all in a good mood. So, Uma, you and I have known each other for about 5 years now, and I've learned a lot about your story over the years. But I would love to start on this first episode. What was some of the early, most significant things that have influenced your life?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. First of all, let me say it's truly an honor and privilege to have the opportunity to share my insights and experiences with you today.
Mm.
I migrated to America with my family when I was 13 years of age from India. So, in that midst of teenager years, and to leave one country of everything that you've ever known and to move to a whole new country with different culture, different experiences. And it was quite a bit of a transition for me coming to America. I looked different. I sounded different. My English pronunciation wasn't all that great. I had few incidents in high school growing up, being bullied for the way I looked, for the way I sounded, for so many different things. And it kind of made me feel that I was excluded. I felt isolated and vulnerable at times. But I did find glimmers of hope and resilience. I worked through it. One of the examples I can share is when I first came to the country, automatically I was placed into ESL, which is English as a second language, which is very normal for any immigrant. No one tests you. It's just you came from another country, boom, here you go. So I remember starting my ninth grade in ESL. And then by the time I graduated high school, I was in AP Honors English. And I had read so many wonderful books at this time. And I also was part of like the journalism team and had published several articles for the school. So I worked through all my struggles, worked through all the English hiccups, and it was a learning experience, but it made me strong. It made me persistent. It helped me become more compassionate. It made me understand the importance of kindness and respecting different people for and not judging by how people look or act or speak. So it was really a breakthrough learning experience at that age for me.
We always talk about finding our voice, and it sounds like you, as a young adult, were literally finding your voice, literally in culture, in journalism, in everything. It just sounds like you were doing so much at once.
Yeah, and I feel like all the experiences I had throughout my life, whether it was high school or overcoming some of these different tough challenges, it really made me who I am. It opened my eyes and horizons to different things because I grew up in such like a filter environment where I was exposed to like limited things, and then coming here and experiencing so many different religions and cultures and people and experiences that it opened my eyes, it enhanced my experiences, it kind of transformed me as a person.
Yeah. So going through all those experiences as a young adult and then starting your life as an adult, I know you pursued a career in healthcare. And what was that process like for you for the early part of your career?
Yeah, so because I came to this country, my brother and I both were going to college and school at the same time. My parents were immigrants, so they had to start their careers all over again. We weren't well to do, but we all worked extremely hard. So in college, I didn't get to like experience like partying and having like amazing lifestyle. I had to have a full-time job and full-time classes and kind of merging all of that. And I can tell you every summer or even in high school, I probably worked at every fast food restaurants you could think of, pizza places. I babysat because I was brought up to really understand like value of money and value of working hard and working towards your goals and dreams. So I was always raised with that mindset that in order to get ahead in life, you have to work hard. For example, my daughter's upbringing is so different. She gets to stay at college and experience such a different lifestyle, which I never got to do. I had to work hard for everything I had. I had to work hard in school. Luckily, I was able to pursue two undergrad bachelor's degree, and then I went on to complete my MBA with concentration in leadership. And some of these educational experiences were either me funding, I've gotten some wonderful scholarship, and as well as me taking out loans to pursue higher education.
Yeah. What is it like now to be the mom that you are, to see your daughter in this life and building her future?
What a great question, right? So for me, my daughter has always been such an inspiration, right? She brings boundless joy and fresh perspective into my life every day. So watching her grow and navigate the world with the curiosity and the fearlessness that like she reminds me importance of embracing each moment and striving to make like a positive impact. With my daughter, I've raised her by myself since she was probably 6 weeks old. So I remember growing up, all my family members used to say, oh, we're like the Gilmore Girls, right? They called us the Rana Girls. She's absolutely the most important person in my life. And she's just wonderful. And the way she's growing up to be and how she like understands compassion, kindness, empathy. It makes me feel like I've done something right in the world.
That's beautiful. You got to have a remarkable experience in your life and share it with her. And we're excited to talk about that in just a moment. But I know that the road to that point wasn't easy. I know that you had cancer affect you profoundly in your family. What are you comfortable sharing with how that impacted your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So cancer affects so many people, right? And I've had some aunts and other cousins and some family members actually go through cancer. But the biggest impact that I had with cancer was it started when my father had knee replacement surgery. He was doing really well for first 6 weeks. He was in therapy, learning how to walk and doing extremely well. All of a sudden, he started getting sick, having stomach pains. He ended up in emergency room a couple of times. They did thorough body test, and in emergency room, they're just like, follow up with your doctor, up with your primary care. And I feel like with my dad, so many things went wrong. Even to get a diagnosis, it took us such a long time, test after test. And he was like misdiagnosed. We didn't know what to do. He was losing so much weight. He lost probably about 25 to 30 pounds. He couldn't eat. So we were just so concerned. I talked to his primary care doctor. It got to a point where I left my job just to be with my father. Test after test after test, x-rays, you name it. He's done all kinds of things. We consulted with a gastroenterologist who he thought was a great doctor because he was Indian and he believed in him. Well, this particular gastroenterologist misdiagnosed my dad and kept on doing procedure to collect insurance money and not really helping him. It got to a point where I had to consult my cousin, who is also a gastroenterologist, and I was sending him all the reports and my cousin helped me connect with another doctor, MD Anderson Cooper, where they have comprehensive care. And even just to get some of these tests, I had to fight with the insurance company and beg them and plead a case, and it was just so complicated, this whole healthcare. I was a caregiver to my father, and I was managing all of his insurance and tests and doctor's visit. And then it got to a point where my cousin made us meet with another doctor. We got another test. It turned out my father had a tumor on the head of the pancreas, and he was also going to go for a mini Whipple
Mhm.
to remove the gallbladder. So he had a major surgery done in 2016, December of 2016. He stayed in the hospital for 10 days. He learned how to eat again, and he was getting his strength and energy up. He got home day before Christmas. So we truly felt like, okay, this is a Christmas miracle. 6 months later, it turns out that his cancer had come back. He was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroendocrine tumor. It was spread in his liver. He probably had about 18 spots. We went through again MD Anderson Cooper. He had a great team of doctors and cares, and he was on a great plan. And he was doing well for first 6 months. And then all of a sudden, it got to a point where the shock of getting a cancer diagnosis was so much for my dad to bear that he was depressed for a little bit. And then after a bunch of other neurologist tests, it came to know that he also had something called Lewy body dementia, which is a highly progressive form of dementia. My anxiety and my life basically just took a different turn because my dad had always been a person who was super active, super present, and amazing dad all my life. And to see him kind of giving up hope on his life and not really fighting gave me such a sadness. Like, I didn't know why a person who's always tackled problems head on didn't want to fight anymore, like he had given up. It was also this disease that it takes the life out of you. So he was now had dementia, highly progressive form of dementia, and cancer. And when the doctor learned that he's progressing the dementia so fast, it got to a point where the doctors are like, there's not much we can do. And I personally had to really think long and hard and had to face such an uphill battle, even within myself, to put him on hospice. So after consulting his doctors and his primary care doctor and some of the family members, I felt that this was the right thing to do. So we worked on putting my dad on hospice at home because when you have dementia, you forget, you kind of revert towards your native language. So at this point, my dad had forgotten how to talk. He had forgotten so many family members, their names, the relationships. Luckily, he'd never forgotten me
Mhm.
or my mom,
Mhm.
but it was a really, really difficult to see all this happening. And that was probably the turning point in my life where I was like, this is really, really hard and sad for me to do, is to put my father on hospice, but it was something that I had to do. Um, I lost my dad in December of 2021, which is probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to deal with. I mean, it wasn't anything else. It wasn't the bullying or the divorce or raising a kid, but losing my father was probably really, really, really tough on me because he's always been the guiding light, right? He's installed values and resilience and determination and compassion. And his unwavering support and wisdom had always continued to shape my perspective and drive me forward. Yeah, so it was really, really difficult, but because of him, I think I ended up at Grit because all the things that he's faced, everything that I faced, everything that my family faced kind of lead me towards Grit Health, where every day I feel like I'm adding value to my life. I'm doing purposeful living. I'm doing something that truly inspires me and motivates me and brings me so much joy. I love when people say, "Oh, thank you to Grit Health. I was able to get a second opinion," or that I found a support group, or that you guys have such a great platform where I can learn and grow and get information about clinical trials, which I've never heard of before. So it gives me so much joy when I come to work every day.
I can so strongly feel the powerlessness in that moment with your dad. I remember those moments with my dad too. And to know how painful and profound those are, to now see you have the moments where, you are so powerful in the work that you do. What is it like for you now to live knowing that you're doing these things that are so meaningful for you?
Great question. So, as a minority woman, there are many aspects of health equity
Mm,
that I'm passionate about, right? So, I feel like in my work, I get to really bring value in the health equity space, in the diversity space. And
mm.
I'm really passionate about different areas of health equity, especially representation in healthcare leadership, the cultural competence that we bring in healthcare, access to healthcare, having the health education and literacy part, the social determinants of health, the intersectionality and health equity part. So, all these things I'm super passionate about. I want to contribute to meaningful change and advancement in realms of healthcare and diversity as not just as a woman, but as a minority woman.
What does it feel when you feel seen? How does that feel when somebody really honors or respects the experience?
Great question. It makes me feel that I matter,
Mm.
that I am important, I'm valued, that people hear me and people see me.
Um, I'm trying to form words into how I feel about that. Knowing that you've had certainly the moments of powerlessness with your dad, but so many other moments of where you didn't feel seen or valued. Um, what do those moments mean to you now, or what is it like to live having those moments and creating them for others?
It means that I am not being recognized by who I am. I'm being recognized for the difference that I'm making, whether it's with one person or with this like group of people, or whether it's just in the brown community, right? I feel like we all have choice at the end of the day. We only have one life to live, but how are we making an impact?
Wait, is that beautiful? It makes my heart smile to hear that, Uma. I think the only place that we can go from there is this major thing that just recently happened in your life. And I know that with the ways that you push yourself to live more life more fully and to live outside of the boxes that people can be put in, what is this major thing that you just did in the last few weeks?
So in last few weeks, I had the pleasure of walking in New York Fashion Week, which is huge. Yeah, I was on Times Square billboard, and I'll tell you why this is so significant to me. Growing up and coming to this country, I am not young. I am older. Um, I am not 100 pound, 6 foot model, but growing up and having that image of someone modeling, and now like things have changed so much, where there's so much representation, there's so much different cultures and different clothing and different bodies and different perspectives, and how we're embracing differences with different cultures and different ways of living, which I think is so instrumental. So I had the opportunity of walking for an Indian designer in New York Fashion Week. It was so important for me to have my daughter sit in the front because I wanted her to see how much we have evolved and changed even within my lifetime, where usually the models are like 6 feet tall and they're very skinny. But now, here at my age, I'm walking the runway, embracing my body, embracing who I am fully as a person, and really giving it my all. I wanted her to see that what a world that we've created for her, that the opportunities are endless. She can have a successful career She could be a runway model. She could be a doctor. She has all the opportunities to be who she really wants to be.
Yeah. Was there a moment in this experience? I can't even imagine being, on stage at New York Fashion Week with your daughter looking up at you in the front row and this journey that you've been on for your whole life. Was there a moment that it just felt sort of more than you had ever imagined, or what was it like?
Yeah, the entire process was more than what I've imagined. The morning started off where I saw my picture on Times Square billboard. So I was like, okay, I can check this off my bucket list because never in a million years I would have been on Times Square. Making an eye contact with her, with my daughter in the first row, like gave me a lot of like positive vibes and just made my heart smile that she looks up to me. And this moment is so special because never in a million years I imagined this for myself. But the fact that opportunity presented itself, and I'm so glad I said yes to it. Because I was like, I don't know. This is not for me. I don't know. I don't think I have time for it. And it's so funny because my daughter Jasmine is the one who said, Mom, you should totally do it. You are a model in your own element. So having that discussion, her pushing me to pursue this, it was such an amazing experience. I'm still in awe about it, but the fact that everyone should do this, everyone is a model in their own right. And this did something for my self-confidence, which I think was so important and something that I needed and something that I will carry this forever. I mean, how many people can walk around saying, "Hey, I walked the New York Fashion Week."
I think about, all the ways that we each try to find our voice. And voice isn't just the words that come out of our mouth, it's the way we express ourselves, it's the experiences we have. And I think about this experience of you, in New York Fashion Week with your daughter and how you've been a role model to her and that relationship. And it's just, it fills me with hope and excitement.
It fills me with a lot of hope and excitement as well.
Mm,
And I love the fact that she sees me as a whole person, right? Everything that I bring to her, everything that I bring to my work, everything that I bring to my community, and then now all the other extracurricular activities that I do. I hope that she inspires somewhat to be like me and to have some of my strength and courage to think that anything is possible at any time.
believe that completely. So I could keep talking for hours, but as we wrap this up, I have two questions for you.
Yes.
What word would you use to describe what it was like in those moments when you came to the States or when you were trying to help your dad? How did that feel for you?
It was overwhelming. Parts of it were very stressful. Parts of it were extremely anxiety related, not knowing the certainty. And then part of it was embracing the time that we have together, right? Like being together and being a family and having him here and really focusing on the present versus worrying about the future.
What word would you use to describe how you live your life now?
Whoa, I live my life in a truly content,
Mm,
happy place where I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be.
that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
know I know being together for this time is incredibly meaningful. And I thank you for sharing your voice so authentically and for all the ways that you make the world better around you. You are a hero.
Thank you so much. You're making me blush, but I think you're the real hero here.
Well, that is a wonderful way to wrap up a conversation. I'll try to own that comment. We both can. Uma, thank you so much for spending this time together. I hope that your openness and these experiences help people who are trying to find their voice in their own way to do more of what you're doing. And I'm so grateful for you having you do that.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you for having me.